Hi y'all. Today I'm gonna make my queso recipe, and this is my favorite queso. You need one large bell pepper, a large yellow onion, or you can use white if you don't have yellow, but one large and one large. If they don't have large, use 1.5 bell peppers and 1.5 onions. 3 cans of Rotel tomatoes, a 2-pound block of Velveeta cheese, salt and pepper, cornstarch, and you need a big pan to cook this in because it's going to make a ton. And also these 3 cans of Rotel, after you dump those into a blender, you're going to also take these to measure 3 cans of water. So this is, and the cornstarch is because when we make this, it's real watery. It's not thick at all. So at the end, you have to thicken it with the cornstarch. So I'm going to show you how to do that. First thing I'm going to do is chop up my bell pepper and my onion. Oh, and a little oil too. Sorry. Because we're going to saute the bell pepper and the onion in just a little bit of oil. I just put enough vegetable oil in the bottom of the pan to just coat the bottom of the pan to keep it from sticking. Okay, I'll be back after I've chopped the bell pepper and the onion. Okay, y'all, we're fixing to put some oil in, just to coat the bottom of the pan. I'm going to put the burner on medium high, and I just barely need enough oil just to coat the bottom of the pan. Okay, and then I'm going to put my onions and bell peppers that I diced in here to start sauteing. And actually, we're not going to like make them brown or golden. We're just going to make them, we're going to go until the onions are translucent. And while we do that, I'm going to take the 3 cans of Rotel tomatoes and put them in a blender and puree them. And I'll be back once I've done that. Okay, y'all. I just blended up my 3 cans of the Rotel tomatoes, and I've got it in a blender container. And then I took one of the cans and added 3 cans of water to a pitcher. And the onions and bell peppers are not there yet. It's only been a few minutes. So we're going to let them keep going. And I'm going to show y'all how I get my cheese ready. See if I can do this. Yeah. So this is my 2-pound block of Velveeta cheese, and I just like to get it ready so that when it's time to put it in the pan, it's ready to go. I like to dice it up evenly. So I take one swipe and I cut through the middle like that. Then I take another swipe through the top. So basically I'm doing it into long fourths, and then I just come back and cube it. So it's just ready to go whenever I am. I can just grab the pieces and start dropping them in. Okay, and I'll come back whenever the onions are ready, and then we'll add the tomatoes in the water. Also, I went ahead and got my cornstarch ready, and you want to take a 1/2 cup of cornstarch and then a 1/2 cup of water, and then just stir it up with a fork. You're going to make a cornstarch slurry, and you can set it aside with the fork until the end. And then we'll stir it up again before we start using it. So I'm going to get that ready. Okay, y'all. This is where I like it. My onions are translucent, but nothing's burned or brown. And the bell peppers are still in pretty good shape. So now we're going to add the tomatoes, the 3 cans of the Rotel tomatoes pureed. Then I take that pitcher of water, the 3 cans of water, and I pour that in the blender container to just get the rest of the tomato. So now we want to bring this to a boil. And while we're doing that, we can season it. I used to put salt in at this point also, but I've decided to wait till the end after I've added the cheese to see how much salt I actually need. So at this point, I'm just going to put ground black pepper in there. And you can do this to taste. It's going to be spicy because of the Rotel tomatoes with chilies. But I like the flavor of black pepper, so I put a lot. But you can do as much as you like or as little as you like. So now I'm just going to turn it up to high to get it to come to a boil. And once it's at a boil, I'll come back. Okay, y'all. I'm back. It's boiling. And I'm going to just turn it down to about medium high. Now I'm going to add my cheese and stir. Be careful when you drop it in because this liquid's hot. You don't want it to splash up and get you. So I'm adding the cubed Velveeta cheese. At this point, we're just trying to melt the cheese. So I'm going to add and stir, add and stir. And this part doesn't take very long. You're just going to keep stirring till all the cheese is melted. And when you think it's all melted, just go around the bottom and pull up the sides and make sure you don't have any chunks of it left. I'll be back when it's all melted. Also, I want to remind you to continuously stir this because you don't want anything scorching on the bottom. This is almost, well, see, like there's a chunk. So I just want to keep on till that's all melted. And just continuously stir all over the bottom so that you don't have anything stick or burn. And there's a little piece right there. So I'm going to give it a couple more minutes and I'll be back, but continuously stir it. Okay, y'all, it's all melted. So now at this point, what we're going to do is take our cornstarch water mixture. It was a half a cup of cornstarch, half a cup of water. And we're just going to we're going to constantly stir, because see how thin this is? It's just like water. It's like a real thin soup-like consistency. So we need to thicken it up. So at this point, consistently stir and then slowly drip in the cornstarch mixture. And as that cooks, it's going to thicken the queso. And you don't have to use a half a cup. You can start with a fourth a cup of cornstarch, fourth a cup of water. And if it's thick enough for your liking, that's fine. But I've done this for over 20 years, and the consistency that I like it, I use a half a cup of cornstarch and half a cup of water. And I mean, it thickens right as you're doing it. And you still have your heat on, and so you're constantly stirring so the bottom of the pan doesn't stick. Because if your pan's not hot enough, you won't think the cornstarch is thickening, and then all of a sudden if you turn up the heat, it'll thicken into a big glob. So Make sure you got your heat on and you're just constantly stirring so the cornstarch is cooking. So now it's at the thickness it's going to be at. And so at this point I can turn the burner off because it's ready. I just want to add some salt. So I'm going to taste it a little bit and then salt it to my preference. And you can take it off the burner so that you don't burn the bottom while you're doing that. Yeah, see, that cheese is so salty, this barely needs any salt. So I'm just going to leave it the way it is. And you can, I used to take this to work, and I'd take it in a big crock pot, and we'd have potlucks, and it would not even last an hour. That's how good this stuff is. So if you're having a big party or something, you can put it in a crock pot and just set it on low, and just stir it every once in a while. But then you can keep it in the refrigerator for a day or two. The flavor gets even better the next day, but it usually doesn't last that long. So anyway, I'll put the recipe in the links down below. Thanks for watching, y'all. Bye.